Hey YouTube, this is Nashtaters. Welcome back to another episode of War of the Visions. So today I want to talk a little bit about the Porcelain Tower, the reward that you will receive if you clear floor 30, and to see if it's really something that is worthy of farming for, because as many of us who've been playing Porcelain Tower the first time, we have learned that you cannot complete finishing that UR product unless you clear the Porcelain Tower at least minimally 2 times to 3 times. So let's go ahead and take a closer look. So the tie ring is an accessory that you can obtain once you clear floor 30. So for beginning players, this is a great opportunity if you have Rain as your unit to grab the Crimson Saber, because that's the weapon that is paired up with Rain and that best completes him. Just like the weapon that we just did from the raid, the Purple Lightning, it's the weapon that pairs up with Laswell to complete him. But bear in mind, the first time we received the Porcelain Tower was only 20 floors, and we had to clear it up to 3 times in order to get all the materials to make sure we finish up the Crimson Saber. But the good news is, recently we've been getting the 3 times a day, getting materials every single day. Those materials are actually quite rare. And if you're a beginning player and you've been participating in the recent box event, as like they call it, one with a ribbon, then you can actually get more materials to try to finish the Crimson Saber. So you have a lot of opportunities to be getting a lot of rare materials, so there's a possibility that you do not actually have to clear the tower upwards of 3 times. Here's the thing, if you clear the tower for the first time, you get all these nice rewards. If you clear the tower the second time, you only get materials in replacing those first time rewards. Subsequently, if you decide to clear the tower 3 times, you will have to spend 500 Visuors in order to reset the tower. After the first time, the first reset is actually free. So for the most of us, we shouldn't have to necessarily reset it that many times, given the fact that we have, or at least we should have, many materials perhaps already required to finish the tie ring. Now let's talk about the tie ring just a little bit. And it's an accessory, obviously, but there's a caveat to this ring. It only works on water units. The Japanese server was actually supposedly called the water ring, so I guess they didn't want to call it the water ring. So tide, has something to do with water, so it kind of makes sense and it fits the bill. Here are the stats. 346 hit points if you want to equip this ring. You also get 80 attack power, and you also get 80 magical attack power. On top of it, you get 6 spirit and 6 defense. So overall, it's a pretty solid ring. For the actual boost in stats, once you get it to +5, you get 20 fire resistances, which I find it kind of weird because I thought they should probably give it water attack instead of water resistances. But nevertheless, it is what it is. Unfortunately, there's actually a humongous penalization on this item, and that is you lose evasion by 20 once you reach +5 on that. So I think some people are going to have to weigh the pros and cons on this ring. Personally, I don't think it's one of the better rings in the game. However, you don't necessarily have to worry too much about evasion on specific units that don't care about evasion, right? So like bruiser units most likely shouldn't care too much about evasion. So for water units that are bruiser types, this would be a great ring. And then for perhaps tankier units, generally speaking, they like to take the hits, perhaps. They like to attract attention, perhaps. So therefore the evasion isn't going to be that big of a deal for them. So one major thing we've all learned from the Porcelain Tower is there's a couple of ways to approach this tower. First off, you could have tons and tons of units built, all maxed out, all level 99, with all proficiency at A level, and they have access to resonances of the Espers, and they have good affinity with other units, and kind of just blast through it using your entire roster. And it's generally speaking pretty safe to do it that way. For those of you who do not have access to a lot of units, if you sent your 5 best strongest unit, there's a huge chance you should be able to clear all of it without using any other units. But you will have to rely heavily on the reset system, which every single day you can reset it 1 time, and what that will do is that will reset all of your units and give them all their hit points back, give them all of their skills, all of their any sort of skills that you have attached to TMRs, all that will be reset every single day. But that being said, some of the encounters in the later floors are pretty tough. So chances are it's going to be very tough for you to actually defeat them all using one run of your 5 toughest units. So that's something to really think about if you're a beginning player. Make sure you try to utilize your reset every single day and try to beat the tower that way. And for those of you who've been playing for what, 6-7 months now, you should have plenty of units to just kind of completely annihilate the tower situation with all of your units. And maybe now's a great time to kind of get some testing going on, right? For me, I know I'm kind of excited about using Steel Heart ability to try to charm 2 units of my opponent's side. And then of course we should have plenty of units that have guaranteed hits to kind of deal with some of those thief classes, because those thieves, like, they're really obnoxious because they have literally 100% evasion, so you can't even get hit in. So you have to rely on things like Holy, you have to rely on Keto Phase, AoE, guaranteed hit, and then of course you have sharpshooters. So you have a lot of options to make sure you hit them. Just be careful, they do also Steel Heart your team, so it's important to bring at least one unit that have the ability to do not a lot of damage in terms of a physical melee, so you can make sure you wake them up. So in one of my recent videos that I posted, I talked about resonances of Espers, and I actually forgot to mention, even though I put it into the comment section below, but for all the other viewers who don't usually look at comment sections, this is important to notice. When you're playing multiplayer and you bring in one of your units and you equip them with an Esper, just bear in mind you do not actually gain any resonances at all when you're playing multiplayer. However, when you're playing normal fair playing stages, which you have to use your own team, then you will be gaining resonances. So one of the most important things to do is when you're farming in general and you're trying to trigger whimsy shops, it's actually a great opportunity to gain some resonances. Now I know I talked about this before, but one of the best stages for farming in terms of trying to trigger the whimsy shop is to go to chapter 4, scene 2, good idea. And here you can simply go ahead and place your Mariana or a super good AoE unit, could be Aldaira or whoever you own that can do really good AoE damage. Put them in slot 3. Hopefully they'll have the highest speed of your 4 units that you're trying to grind with in terms of either resonances or levels, and then just set it on auto repeat and keep doing this, or just keep doing this until you trigger your whimsy or whatever your goal is. This is the best and the fastest that I know of that you can actually level up your resonances. The other way to do it is obviously when you're grinding for your hard quests, make sure you do it on not on like actual skip tickets, just send them into battle because you'll gain resonances that way. Or if you're farming all of your daily routines through your daily dungeons, event dungeons, then you can actually also just put on normal fighting mode, in which case you can also gain resonances. And of course we're talking about the experience chamber, go chamber, ore chamber, growth chamber, pot chambers, and of course any of these Elcris chambers. But just bear in mind, those are going to be very long grinds. Obviously you guys know this because, you know, these maps are designed for harder materials to drop, or rare materials to drop, should I say. And of course they're going to take a little bit longer to clear. So of course, in my opinion, the best one is to go to that story mode, chapter 4, scene 2, part 9 for good idea. Grind it up. You won't really regret it, and because also you have to kind of satisfy the condition in which you must farm for the let's see here. It's the story quest, right? You have to do 400 times a month. So if you're doing this, then you're at least guaranteed the rainbow sphere. As you can see, I need to do a little bit more work on this account to get that going. But yeah, so another little bonus material that I should have probably put in my last video, but I didn't. But at least it's a good time to kind of insert it now so people can kind of get a clear idea of what you should be doing in terms of farming for resonances and trying to trigger the whimsy shop. So for the MR guaranteed unit summon, I actually still have not received any UR units from this. But I actually done on one of my baby accounts, or the one that had Aldaira in it, and actually did receive 1 UR summons. So it's obviously possible. Personally, I just never actually done it on this account or my spinner's account. So let's go ahead and see how this works. Nope, that's not going to be it, because I think you have to actually have the unit here in order for that to be turned into a UR. So it looks like I got a Ramada. I was hoping for more Lorenzo, but it didn't happen. So here's the thing. I am going to be working on the fire unit after I finish Lorenzo and Shuzelt. We talked about this weapon as a something that I can perhaps give to Delita because it has pretty decent attack power and also has really solid fire attack. So I kind of want to see in weigh the pros and cons of having slash attack or fire attack. But since Delita is so good at using extra damage in terms of perhaps boosting his fire attack, this is something I really want to test out. So to make sure that this is a weapon that can be equipped and is a one-handed weapon, as you can see, it is a one-handed weapon because all of these classes, all these jobs, I should say, all only use one-handed weapons. So this is something I will probably be working on. As you can see, I'm fairly close to 4. And hopefully, maybe starting soon, we'll be getting more 10x free summons. But in order to keep going, I need to do some more summons, I think. I have so many tickets saved up, there's no reason to save them. So I think let's try for another 10 summons and see if we can get some more MR units. I'm only going to do 10 this time, just to kind of test my luck. Here we go. So right now, obviously, I'm not really looking for any URs. Unless, of course, there are UR units that I can finish off. I think I only have 3 that I'm working on in terms of getting them to max level. And just get those done and then kind of just concentrate on heavily on the MR units. So it looks like we're going to get at least perhaps 2 MR units. Oh, okay. I may consider doing O, I don't know. It seems like a lot of work for me because of the fact that I don't have any samurai weapons. And that means I have to grind more samurai weapons. Here we go. Oh, no. I mean, normally I would be like, yes, but okay, Lucia, no, actually I stopped working on her, so that sort of is a dud. I know I'm sounding kind of stupid about it, but I have a goal in mind. That's to work on non-UR, so gotta stick with that. Okay, I think that's all the time I have for this video. I think later on tonight I'm gonna do another video in which hopefully I'll get to highlight a new unit that I want to take to combat. Maybe I'll take Lorenzo, maybe I'll take some of the other ones. Tuesday is generally a good time to highlight a unit in an arena because 1, we're not facing a lot of strong opponents. 2, just something to do to kind of fill in the gap usually Tuesday leaves behind. So until next time, take care of yourself and all your loved ones. Remember, time is your most valuable resource, so use it wisely. Nashtaters and his family out of here. Peace out.